Listen to this carefully. Listen to this carefully.
Que jura que habla español, él dice que lo entiende completamente y lo habla cuando le da la gana. No le ha dado la gana conmigo. Así que yo voy a ver si él puede traducir más o menos lo que estoy diciendo. Yo inmediatamente le pido disculpas por haberlo acusado de no aprender el idioma. Así que vamos a ver si él puede traducir lo que acabo de decir. Robertillo, take it away. What did I say? Just roughly.
Roughly, you said we're on our way to DC. We're about to go to an event. We're going to eat after that. Pray. I heard intercede somewhere in there, so maybe some intercessory prayer. And yeah. And you said that I was your husband.
Right.
And yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
That's crazy, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I said. That's wild.
Now what she said was look, I'm married to this guy and he says that he understands exactly what I'm saying, but I'm gonna put this to the test. We're gonna test to see if he really knows exactly what I'm saying. Okay, that's the essence of what she said. That was it. And then she said, now we're gonna see, and she turns and she asks him, what did I say? Now listen to her again so you can see exactly what I'm saying. Watch.
Estoy aquí con mi esposo, que jura.
I'm here with my spouse, and I swear.
Que habla español, él dice que lo entiende completamente y lo habla.
He says that when I speak Spanish and when he speaks Spanish, one of the two, that he understands completely what I'm saying.
Habla cuando le da la gana. No le ha dado la gana conmigo. Así que yo voy a ver si él puede traducir más o menos.
Now what I'm gonna see here, and she said something about grab, yo agarra, and I think she's trying to say if he's gonna grab it, if he's gonna comprehend it, if he's gonna understand it, and then she says, now look, we're gonna do a little test, see if he can handle it.
Menos lo que estoy diciendo, yo inmediatamente le pido disculpa por haberlo acusado.
Now I'm gonna have to say this, excuse me, disculpe, and I'm gonna, see if he knows what's been going on.
De no aprender el idioma. Así que vamos a ver si él puede traducir lo que.
Now, I'm gonna illustrate that he just doesn't understand the idioma. I mean the language. He can't translate this.
Acabo de decir. Robertillo, take it away. What did I say? Just roughly.
And she said, well, okay, I'm through talking about this. And she said, now, hey, Cavatillo, what did I say? Okay. Here's the bottom line. He's on the right track. See? And what she doesn't understand and what he clearly doesn't understand is just because she is talking, that doesn't mean that she's any better of a listener than her husband is. See? Now, in Mexico, all I hear is Spanish. So I don't have a choice. I have to understand what's being said. See, but these two people, they have a choice. And they can always defer to English. Me, I prefer always to defer to Portuguese. I always want to regress to Portuguese no matter what I hear, because Portuguese is so close to Latin. It's so close to literary speech that it's always going to be relevant, no matter what the other language is. Now that's almost impossible to explain to people who don't speak Portuguese. People who speak English. Well, how can you say that it has a literary register? How can you make this claim? How can you say it? It's like if you're thinking of medicine or science, you are forced to think in Italian. If you think of mathematics, you're forced to think in German. I mean, that's that's just the way it is. I mean, you know, there's some inescapable facts that are out there in the world when it comes to linguistics and languages. If you are going to think of how action can switch in terms of focus, you're forced to think in one of the Malay languages. You're just forced to do that because that's the language that does it best. You know, it's like the Swiss Army knife. You know, one tool, you don't use one tool all the time. That's the handicap of one language, is that you're using one tool for thought all the time. It sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it just does not work. Okay, so she may not be a better listener than he is, and he actually is just a terrible listener. He's a terrible listener. And what makes him even worse as a listener is that he didn't say, hold on, wait, you know what? I'll tell you what I understood, and then could you repeat this part that I didn't understand? See, that's all he had to say. Now, you can only ask any given person, any given human being, and this is why AI is so vital. The maximum amount of questions that you can ask any human being per day is 10 questions. And if those questions are extremely difficult, that makes it even more difficult to even reach 10. And a person will grow to dislike you and have extreme resentment if you have to continue to ask them questions, particularly if you ask them the same question over and over about the same thing. 30 days later, you're asking the same exact question. If that occurs, you're headed towards divorce court. Or the person just says, well, look, we're going to have to live our lives and just don't ask me any more questions. I mean, that's, you know, it comes down to that. And that's what this lady is basically saying. She's saying, you know what? We're going to have to live our lives. Just don't ask me any more questions. And I'm not going to, you know, give you any more of these Spanish tests. That's tragic. That's the reason why, before you get into this marriage, before you get into this relationship, before you even establish this friendship, have a firm handle on the language first.